I can read out your bio, but you can all read the bio. She's just an awesome person, and I would encourage you to take every opportunity you possibly can to cross paths with her. So, Joshna, over to you.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. What a delight it is to be here. This is my first time in Newfoundland, and I am delighted at all of it. I'm leaving far too soon. This is really great. So I'm going to take you through, I still quite can't believe that I've been given the microphone to let you know what my dreams are for school food. It's sort of amazing to have this. But essentially what I'm going to do is build on the very cool opportunities that I've had to rethink the food that we serve in our public institutions, right? And obviously we have to sort of anchor our notion of schools in institutions. And it feels important to say, there we go. There we go. It feels important to say that that we're all going to be approaching this from different places and different perspectives. And when I think about making this kind of change, I like to suggest that what we actually need is a continuum with multiple points of entry, right? So that people can come in wherever they are. The key piece is the vision and the values that create that need to enable us to all get our feet pointed in the same direction, right? So that we're all working to the same final goal for what food in schools should look like, but with space and understanding for the fact that we are all coming at it from very different ways, and that the capacity to realize the dream is still a few steps away. So that's sort of the context that I want to build this through. So I have, I think, I got six hot bits, and then we're going to have a nice conversation. So first of all, I've spent a lot of time, my thought around school food has been about university and college campuses. And something that I really believe is that I understand that we're not going to start there, and that even the intentions of this investment in this money is for K-9 students. But I really want, as we're building our thought about school food, to consider post-secondary students in the equation. So I like to say, we need to think more broadly about school food to think about it being from K to PhD. Because post-secondary students are often forgotten when we think about school food, but they are in fact still a vulnerable population on a fixed budget in need of good meals. And these two students with their serious faces are two students who screamed and yelled loud enough about the poor quality of food on the then Ryerson University campus. And this photo of them made it to the front page of the Toronto Star, which is when the administration realized that the pot had boiled over and they called me to help. And so I say to students all the time, your voice is the only thing that will get change happening. And in a post-secondary and even secondary school context, those voices are loud and they have lots of things to say. And so encouraging that advocacy is super, super important. And really understanding the student space and the need for meals. I say to students all the time, I want you to get as far as you can dream, but what is going to fuel that journey? It's not going to be cheap takeout in a styrofoam container. It's got to be more than that, right? We have to think through how they're actually going to pull this all off. So that's my plug for K to PhD. The next piece is we need to be talking about scratch-made food cooked on-site with care and thought. I cannot stress this enough. If we have this beautiful opportunity to build this, machine-made food cannot be part of this equation, right? We have to think about people being involved. School food needs to revalue the human hands involved in moving food from field to kitchen to table. I really believe that the connection between the kitchen and students is crucial, right? They need to have a sense, delivered via the meals, that there's a human being who is thinking about them, who cares about them, and is putting the best effort that they've got, along with the most beautiful things that our farmers have produced on those plates for students, right? That human connection is the most important thing. I've done work in hospitals, and it is sort of shockingly amazing that we have been so okay with severing that connection, right? Especially in a hospital context, to know that there's somebody, usually in the basement, right, who thinks about you, right? Or even a note from the kitchen saying, we put care and attention into this soup. We hope you get better soon. What a thing, right? What a thing. But in this climate and in this world, it is really far away. And so I really want to pull that together. And if we're going to do this, let's do this. And let's really understand how our kids should be fed, and that it should be made thoughtfully with school from scratch, using the best ingredients we can offer them. Okay, so to do this well, we will need some investment in both a kitchen and a team. Sort of the spirit of this conversation today already is really about, it's funny, right? It sounds so much like we're finding all the spaces that have to shift and change, because it's like all the places where the food priorities were yanked out, right? Somebody thought it would be more efficient. Take it out of the lunchtime, take it out of the school budget, lunch is perhaps not that important anymore. So we can pull the resources and the effort out. And so if we're going to do this, there was some mention on the panel earlier, we have to reinvest. Scratch-made food needs a properly equipped kitchen and a skilled team to produce it. Both these spaces and labor budgets will require investment to rebuild. It's not going to work, right? If we want that human connection, we have to create the spaces so that people can actually pull this off. I remember Debbie, back in food chair days, working with Ontario's Student Nutrition Program and seeing a sweet parent volunteer chopping carrots on a table in a closet, right? And literally you could see the mops and stuff hanging behind her head as, God bless this lovely lady who was doing this. But that's not going to work. We really need to think this through, and we need to, again, really value the human hands. To me, so much of this is about paying more attention to the human hands required to move food from field to kitchen and table. And so this is another piece that I think is an interesting one. School food should make a meaningful link to existing vision and values around food. So what am I talking about here? On some level, we're talking about Canada's food guide, but that is a contentious document. I think that the current version of it is perhaps the best version that we've seen, right? The lobbying has been pulled out, and thoughts about wholesome eating and cooking together and where sources of calcium and protein are from have shifted. But I really think that this is a chance to kick the tires on this thing, right? And if we use the wisdom in the food guide, can we build really good menus for kids in schools using the wisdom that comes from this food guide? I don't know yet, but I think that it's important for us to use it and try to find out. The other important piece is we have folks on the ground who have thought this through, right? So much that we see so many times, national policies, they kind of, people talk about them in Ottawa, and then they just sort of get sent over for the people who are on the ground to deal with. But we have lovely folks, Coalition for School Food, Farm to Cafeteria. They have been at it for a while, talking through what these meals need to look like, how we need to feed our kids. And I would really like to use that wisdom, right, to collect it somehow, right? And because part of it needs to be some kind of idea about what it means to be a Canadian in school, right? That's gotta be part of this somehow. What is Canadian eating? This is the thing, as chefs, we're constantly getting asked this question, and I have to be like, sit down, we're gonna have a half an hour conversation, right? Or I say, back bacon sandwich or something stupid like that, right? It doesn't always work, but I think that we have a chance here to really get more focused about what eating in Canada needs to be all about, right? And our kids and their plates, I think, are a great vehicle for this. So, following from all of this, school food must include deep engagement with agriculture. I feel like this is a deal breaker, right? If we're not thinking about agriculture, we're not building this properly. For so many reasons, right? We cannot cook wholesome school meals without a link to Canadian farms. Investment in school food is an investment in farmers as essential partners. I feel like there's just no way around this. One, because of the quality of food that we need on the plates for the kids, but we have a climate crisis that we have to address, and school food contracts can do a wonderful job of pushing ideas around regenerative agriculture agriculture, regenerative organic agriculture, and it would be such a missed opportunity if we did not bring farmers into this conversation in a deep and meaningful way, however we can. I understand that in some provinces this is easier than in others, but in the places where it is easy and it is possible, that's where we have to start, and that's where this has to get built. Down the bottom left here is the delivery of salad greens from the new farm to the university cafe, right? And the fact that we had this connection, right? The farmer, the chef, the box of greens, making magic happen, right? In the middle, this photo, I brought it, it's from my hospital work, but it's super important because previously we were putting apples that were already sliced, tossed in chemicals and in a plastic bag on patient trays, right? And I was like, how about we just put an apple on that tray? Could we just put it, right? And they, we didn't know. So we got apples in, they were Honey Crisps, and the dietitians were freaking out because the portion sizes were too big. Honey Crisps are massive apples. So I got on the phone with Grace at 100 Kilometer Foods, and I said, can you give me a 3-4 bite apple? Right, I mean a fresh apple, but just tiny. So she called Tori Warner at Warner's Farm out in Norfolk County, and he said, no problem, these are my 3s, right, my number 3s, but the market doesn't want these, right? They just get tilled under or sent for animal feed or applesauce or fruit punch or whatever the thing is. But now we can buy them because they're the perfect size for hospital patients, right? He got a way to sell things that otherwise would not have market access. Hospital got a deal on things legitimately because this is not going to work just looking for discounts on the backs of our farmers. But if we can earn a discount, right? If we can collaborate and build a relationship, then magic can happen. And then finally on the right here, this is the rooftop farm on the Toronto Metropolitan University campus. And I have to say, of my legacy of the 2.5 years, that is the thing that has lasted, right? It's a 1/4 acre of space. And in our first year, we produced like 1,000 pounds of organic produce. And I said to the farming team, I said, please don't plant any squash or pumpkins. They gave us the green light from a feasibility, infrastructure to grow on the roof, but I was like, this thing is not falling on our watch. So leafy greens. No squash, no pumpkins, no potatoes, leafy greens. And that's important because we grew 1,000 pounds of leafy greens, right? That then went right back into the cafeteria and were served to students on site. And I had the delight of pressing 2 little warm cherry tomatoes into the hand of the VP, right? I was like, just put this in your mouth, right? And he, listen, if you've had the delight of putting a warm cherry tomato in your mouth, it's a wonderful thing. But the look on his face, and I was like, that's it. That's my support for another year. That's my, that's my ally. Okay, let's chefs in. We are so ready to help. I have found so much meaningful opportunity as a chef in institutions to offer myself and my help up. The key piece here is that chefs manage the delicate balance of food, labor, and overhead costs while still producing meals that are creative and delicious. We are so ready to jump in and help. So bottom right is part of my TMU kitchen team. And then bottom left is this lovely dude named Dan Juicy. He is a friend and ally, was formerly the chef de cuisine at Noma in Copenhagen with all of the Michelin fanciness that you can imagine. But he's from New York. And so he built this company called Brigade. And essentially what Brigade is a wonderful collection of chefs who have been working in school kitchens throughout the US, completely transforming the way we serve school meals, right? And it is, what I love about it so much is it's just using who we are as chefs and what we do to make things work in non-restaurant contexts, right? He shows on the Instagram feed, it makes my heart race because they're just photos of beautifully organized walk-in fridges, right? And then the photos, like the middle, this is chana masala and naan, was going out in a Cupertino school, right? They're in California now too. But I just want you to know chefs are here. I have colleagues and allies who are constantly asking how they can do the work that I do. And so let chefs in. We are here to help. We can do this. We can work together to make this magic really happen for kids. I say to my colleagues, I'm like, once you rework the food that chefs cook in institutions, we're going to create the best cooking jobs anywhere, right? There's a good salary, there's a security, there's a vacation pay, like it's all things that chefs don't know anything about, right? So if you give them great ingredients and some freedom, we're going to make major magic start to happen. And then finally, remember, this is change making in an institution. Institutions are built to do one thing, one way. If you want to make change, you have to be prepared to change many more bits outside of the kitchen. And this is massive, right? It is like you pull one thread, and then I found people just waiting for the moment where I pack my knives and got out of there, right? So, I made this funny little diagram just as an illustration of the insanity. This is from hospital food. I wanted to put roasted potatoes on the menu. So first, could get no petty cash out of the financial nothing, so I bought the potatoes myself. Fine. So I used my own money. There were no peelers in the kitchen, so I brought my peeler from home. Then I negotiated with the dietitian team about the volume of oil and salt going to be used to season the potatoes, part of the Geneva summit, right? On sodium and fat. Then we filled an organics waste bin for the first time in years. I literally wiped the dust off of that lid, right? And then as I'm peeling the potatoes, someone from facilities happened to walk through and told us about not filling beyond the dotted line on the bag because there are lifting maximums as per the collective agreement for the union staff. I was like, okay, so, all right, dotted line. Then the other facilities person had to come and take the bag out to the receiving the loading dock, but he was like, I don't know what to do with this bag. We haven't had organic pickup in decades. There's no green GF, there's no bin, there's no nothing. So this bag is just, what do I do with this bag? Right. Then people in the nearby offices, they smelled the kitchen cooking, and they literally came in with almost angry looks on their faces, being, what's going on in here? What are you doing? And I was like, we're cooking. In the kitchen. We're cooking, right? But like this, I was like, I just wanted, everyone was like, who is this troublemaker in the kitchen? What is happening? Why am I getting a weird receipt for $5.49 from a market? You know, like, what is what? And I was like, I just wanted to put potatoes on the tray. Similarly, I wanted to pay farmers and producers within 30 days of deliveries, because that's just what they need. Institution's policy is to pay invoices in 90 days across the board. 90 days, too long for small farmers. They themselves wanted COD. I talked them down from the ledge, right on the COD with the 30 days. But then we have a third party managing it, and the third party wants all vendors to have HACCP certification. But no small artisanal producers can have or really afford HACCP certification. So then the way we pulled this off was that I was provided a bunch of waivers to sign off. I was saying that otherwise the institution would have purchased these things. But like all of these restrictions suggested that Ruth Clausen was making cheese in the trunk of her car. You know what I mean? And not really understanding that as a perfectly legitimate operation, just outside the scope of what you're used to. But we did it. And I was like, this is a deal breaker for me. If you can't pull this off, this project is done. And don't you know, they discovered that the check printer actually works in 15 days. They can do it, right? Yeah, they can do it. They pulled it off. And I threw them a party, right? When a farmer called me and was like, Joshna, it's been 3 weeks and I already have a check. And I was like, oh, thank God. But that's the point, right? Again, I want to do one thing, anchored in my own values about how we need to build this new system. And man, oh man, the amount of emotional fortitude it has taken to make it through has been substantial. But the thing is, we have the opportunity to build this well, in a way that creates the win-win-win that only happens with food. And this is why I have such fist-clenched excitement about this, because food is special. right? The way we can build food systems in which everybody wins. You don't have to sacrifice or give up anything. Maybe. A slice of profits. Maybe. But we can do this. And we have this wonderful moment here with us right now to be able to think that through. So I have been delighted to be here with you. I think my times are up. I'm sort of not paying nearly enough attention to this lovely woman. But here we are. Thank you. Thank you for your time.